Stitch Roadies. Thank you for stopping by, and as usual I am grateful for the company. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hang out at least for a couple of videos to see if we're your cup of tea, and then I hope you will subscribe and hit that bell to let you know when I upload another video. Also, if you are a current subscriber, hit the subscribe button again, just in case, just to make sure. Check that you're actually subscribed. Something's been going on where some people think they're subscribed and they're not. And it shows on the stuff that they send you how many people are regularly watching, which our community is quite large, and actually how many are not subscribed. So it is somewhat of a conundrum on how that all occurs, but I would appreciate if you would become a subscriber. What's going on? I hope you get your stitching out because there's a lot to share today. It is foggy, drizzly. In fact, because my stitchy room here is on the second floor of our home, and our home is on the top of a knob, kind of like on its own little perch. It actually was spitting snow, and by the time it hit the ground, it was rain. So it's kind of a weird weird thing. G and I already went out this morning to do our grocery shopping. Yeah, he likes to grocery shop now, which is quite interesting. Maybe because he's such a great cook. You know, his father was a great chef. Not professionally, but, you know, he canned jam, and he was just an interesting, what I used to call a Renaissance man. My father-in-law was a Renaissance man. I mean, he actually went out and bought a cast iron shepherd's stove. The kind of stove that the Basque sheep herders used to carry in their wagons. He was able to find one, and he put it on his porch, and he used to can and cook out on his porch. And then he cut all his, oh, I tell you, that man, he cut all the wood for his fireplace to last all winter, and it was just, you know, he felt rich when he had like cords of wood cut. He used to spin yarn and weave and crochet. Yeah, and G is like a chip off the old block, let me tell you. So I kind of went off on a tangent, didn't I? Oh, by the way, this is a channel about cross-stitch. Maybe a little about cross-stitch and mostly about life in general. I've been looking at a bit of Flosstube myself, and I know that there are hundreds of Flosstubers out there, and they all bring a little bit of something that you might need and want. And the season, the watching season, waxes and wanes. And I've been doing YouTube for several years now, and so I can see that trend, so it doesn't discourage me. And and you see YouTubers come and go. Life changes, and it's kind of like when your favorite TV show cancels. Ugh. Or you have to wait 6 months or 8 months for a new season. It's just frustrating sometimes. But know that spending a little time when you're stitching and watching various floss tubes is just good for the soul. When you find someone that speaks to you, and I have my list is long, and sometimes I fall out of the watching mode, and then I'm playing catch up, or I'm trying to see what's going on in someone's life. I know that my friend Audrey, who is Stitchy Witch 42, she's such a multi-crafter, and that's the same with her friend Lori Texstylust. They do paper crafts and cross-stitch, just a little bit of everything, and sometimes that variety is just what you need. It's not like you're going to go out and do everything someone's doing. Although we are great influencers, but it's fun to know that there are such creative people out there. This morning I was watching Chris XrossStitch, and he was talking about showing up for yourself. That's how he put it. Show up for yourself. And I thought that's exactly what I've been doing this year in terms of self-care. You know, that self-care, paying attention to what really fills your soul, and realizing that there are maybe people that are passing in and out of your life that you don't meet their needs, or they don't meet your needs, and that's okay. All you can do is keep on putting one foot in front of the other. But I loved his saying of showing up for yourself. Because we have to be our own friend first before we can be the friend to someone else, don't we? I had, talking about friendship, yesterday I had some disconcerting news. That's what I can call it, disconcerting news. And both G and I, it was great. I made our eye appointments following each other, and we took the van, Penny the van, to our appointments, so that while one was in their appointment, the other could hang out in the van and do whatever. So I was stitching on a Prairie School or Santa, because it's in my little bitsy, Kelly little bitsy bop thing. I think that's what they call it. But so he went in first, and his appointment was about an hour, and he came out, and then it was my turn to go in. So he said, "I'm taking a nap." I tell you, that van is the best thing we ever invested in. So I go into my appointment, and when I come out, he said, "My gosh, that was a 2-hour appointment." And I said, "Well, it's not the worst of news, it's not the best of news, but I've always had problems with my left eye since I was a child. They at one point told me I was, by what you can read off the chart, that I was technically blind, but I had something with it where they were trying to force my brain, and many of you may have had the same experience, trying to force my brain to see out my left eye. And so they would patch my right eye and try to make my left eye see. And I had a really cute pink pirate, I used to call it a little pirate's patch. I hope you have your coffee. It's kind of early for anything else, but your coffee and your stitching, because I'm going to be babbling today. So when I was a kid, like 4, I'm thinking I was around 4 or 5, I had to wear a patch. And then I've always worn glasses. I've always worn glasses. And I have night blindness, like I can't drive at night. When I lived on the other side of the mountain, if a book group was at night, I really couldn't go, or I'd have to stay over at a friend's house. I couldn't drive back home. And so it's always been this eye, and it's still this eye. But yeah, the doctor called in another doctor to look at my eye, and all I kept thinking to myself was, oh my gosh, I have too many projects. I have too many projects not to be able to see great out of both eyes. I need both eyes. And then I kept, when they would leave the room, I'd close my eye and say, can I? And I'd look down, can I stitch with one eye? Can that be done? You know? But he came back in and he said, we're not sure if your retina is starting to detach or if it's got scar tissue there, so we're going to have you come back in a week. And he said, if you start seeing anything weird in that eye and it's not during office hours, go to the ER. I'm like, yeah, right. Right now, does one want to go to the ER? I don't think so. But I have a lot of projects to stitch. So, so I have another appointment in a week. And I came home and I was just a hair discouraged and worried. And then a piece of mail got delivered, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect timing. It made me all excited. It made me all excited because Trudy, you know how I had said I was looking ever since I watched Kindred Stitcher, and she showed a Blackbird design book. I was like, I gotta have it. Of course, every place I was going said it was out of stock, and then I kept people would our community is so helpful. They would leave comments and say, go look here, go look there. And I actually found a place that, on a suggestion, that had 4 copies. And I was so excited. I pressed pay. They said they would be shipping it out in a day or two. And then 4 days later, I got a email that said my order was canceled and they were reimbursing because they didn't have any. And I was like, so then I called the number, and they left me a message that said, yeah, it's not available. And I was so discouraged. And then I got a email from Trudy, who told me that she had ordered 2 copies of the book and wanted to send me one. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to pay you back for that book. And she said, absolutely not, that it's a gift. And it arrived after my eye appointment. And so not only did it arrive, but a box of chocolates. So, you know, it was like I was almost in tears. It was like, oh my gosh, things are going to be okay. Things are going to be okay. And it's this book here for my friend. And it's this project that I just thought was absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And it was actually, this project here was actually designed by Barb, who, as we know, went to the Stitching Room in the Sky last 4th of July. I knew I was going to start it right away because I needed to. And so it's the beginning of February. We're talking about all those hearts. And so I started it. I have my little start right there. I'm doing it on 32 count, and I'm so happy. I got this piece of lovely fabric from Fortnite Fabrics. Those guys are awesome. And I used to belong to their Fabric of the Month Club, and this one was a 32 count even weave called Morale, like the mushroom, I think. And so I have a new start for February. And what was very exciting about this particular project, which I did not realize, was I'm going to learn some specialty stitches. And the specialty stitches, I read through it. They are so well explained. I don't think I'm going to have a bit of problem. And the thing about this project, if you can see, is that those individual motifs, as Lisa said on her Flosstube, you know, they can be done into ornaments or little pillows. I'm going to do the entire thing. The entire thing. I just love it. And I'm really looking forward to trying some new stuff. So here we go. There's a specialty stitch. Isn't that cool? So cool. So thank you so much for my book. Oh, Trudy, Trudy, you're just it was just such perfect timing. It was such perfect timing. And so I'm keeping it in my my Mickey Mouse bag, of which I have no clue who made this, and it is an exceptionally well-made bag. And that's why I wish bag makers would always put their little logo or something on the bag. And it came with the little, you know, little felt pocket. And I have my floss on my, As the U Flies floss bling with the heart. That made me totally relax. Totally relax. Because isn't that the way we go immediately from 1 to 100 in the worry, and then it takes a bit to bring us back to the center, to the balance of where, okay, 1 foot in front of the other. 1 foot in front of the other. Yeah. I've been keeping track of, I've been loving this Fat Quarter Shop book, although I'm adjusting how I'm using it in February. So in January, I was writing everything in these little squares, which was a little bit tight. And then on this side, I had my finishes, my FFOs, and my starts. And what I've done differently is I've made the calendar part important birthdays. You know, I have we have our calendars on our phones, but this is for like Zoom meetups, Stitchy meetups, and this book is for both all my whole crafting world is in here. I'm liking it. And then as it goes to each day, I'll write down what I have accomplished. The thing about it is, I had no idea until I really committed to just writing down what I'm doing. No big pouring out of my soul, just what I'm doing, that I found out I'm not a slacker. I'm not I mean, I'm not the most organized person, that's for sure, but I do get things done. I just didn't realize it because it seems like there's piles everywhere. But in January, I finished, and mind you, this is quilting and cross-stitching together. I finished 6 projects. I finished 6 projects in January. And I FFO'd 5 projects. I FFO'd 5 projects. I had 3 new starts. I'm kind of proud of myself. I'm just proud of myself. So I'm very much committed to keeping track of, in this column here, my finishes, my FFOs, and my new starts. And I just kind of keep it on the side of my sewing table here. Back to floss tubes. Really, really emotionally support your floss tuber, because you're getting gems of, at least I am getting gems from these floss tubers that I'm watching. I am showing up for myself, as Chris wants everyone to do. And LadyRobynS is, she's my go-to. She's just perky, happy. She's a librarian, so I'm going to her for, I'm paying attention to her book segment. And in fact, a book that she suggested last month, I ended up buying for my oldest grandson for his birthday, because it was actually, just from reading the synopsis, was the perfect book for him, called The Doldrums. And so I'm picking up tips. And one of the things that she is doing is the 25/7, and I didn't really know what that was. And I am not doing sals as they are originally intended to be done. Robin calls them start-alongs, which I love. But the 25/7, I think in its original concept, was that you would stitch 25 minutes a day, 7 days a week. That would never work for me. And so people have taken that 25/7 and created their own system, as has Robin. And so I thought, this is the perfect mindset for the trees. I know that many of you who've been here a while love the trees. You want to see the trees done. You're rooting me on. And so I said, I'm going to put the trees into the 25/7. And I'm not doing shoulds this year. So my 25/7 is 25 minutes sometime in a week. Yeah, sometime in a week. And I realized that part of the problem I was having was that I stitch at night in my bedroom, and it's much darker. I have a magnifier and a good lamp, but when you're stitching with white, one color, on a big, big, big piece, it's just more difficult. And so I decided to bring it here, where I could lay it out on my sewing table. I can stitch it, and for 25 minutes, I'll just leave it in here. And if I do more than 25 minutes, if I do more than one day in a week, that's all cake. But here, as I'm stitching this kind of somewhat monotonous project, I can look out the window, I can see who's walking their dog. You know, it's this It's how we figure out how to use this. And so, and I'm, if you've seen this project before, it's by Renato Perlin, and you can't wait to get to the evergreen trees because the deciduous trees are just so much work. So I'm on a deciduous tree. So here we go. So here's the whole project. And really, that deciduous, that last tree I'm working on, that's the most work I've done on this project in probably a year. So it's beautiful. There's no two ways about it. It's beautiful. And when I brought it out, I realized I only have really a page and a quarter to get done. Sure, that's a lot for this project, but I now can tell that I think I can get this done this year. Yeah. So, and I'm doing it in hand, so I'm going to continue to do it in hand. It is a stunning project, and I can't tell you what the fabric is. I know that I did get it at Acorns and Threads. In fact, I took this whole project into Janine and said, I need fabric and I need floss. So I've been working on that. What else have I been working on? I've got my little, this, I need a drink. And no, it's not alcohol, but it feels like it should be. Because this project was a new start yesterday. And the reason I started this project was because G and I have been going on sunny days. We've been taking our middle grandson out to the river beach. And the way we get to the river beach is we go through Portland, and we're passing what's called the St. John's Bridge. Now, Portland is known as Bridgetown because there are tons of bridges here. The city and its communities are on two sides of two different rivers. So you're having to cross a bridge all the time. And if you want to get into Washington, you have to cross a bridge. This particular bridge, St. John's Bridge, has a warm fuzzy feeling for me. It was a bridge that was designed by the same architect who designed the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and it's a beautiful bridge. It's a beautiful bridge. But back in the day when I was decided I was going to be a runner, and this is how this occurs. I decide something and then I'm all in. I mean 100% in. There's nothing that gets in my way. So, you know, it's a funny peculiarity, but I decided I wanted to be a runner. And so I started running 5K and 10K races. And I ran races all over Central Oregon. I ran in Hawaii. I ran in Monterey. The Bubba Gump race. But I decided that I need to run a marathon. So I had trained for that. And when you sign up for the marathon, they give you all this paperwork and information, and they said there's only one spot where there's a major elevation gain, and that's when you're going from the river level climbing up the St. John's Bridge, of which they closed to traffic, and you're running across the bridge, and then you're going down the other side and coming back into town. I kind of laughed at that because when you're training in Central Oregon, you're already at 3,200 feet. So your lungs are, it's easier than when you run on a race at sea level, because you're already, you've already been dealing with it. And I started training for elevation because my younger son and I were going to run the Eiffel Tower. And so when I was working at that time, and when I went to work, the cafeteria was on the second floor. I worked the first floor. In order to go to the cafeteria, I would run to the fifth floor, which was how tall the hospital was, and then I'd run down to the cafeteria. I could never go to the cafeteria without running the stairs. And then I also ran Pilot Butte, which is a butte in the center of Bend, and it is a mile climb to the top. Let me tell you, running downhill is much harder than running uphill. So I was prepared. I was prepared for the marathon, and when at the end of the marathon, when I was running back into town to the finish line, tears were just running down my face because my older son was running on the sidewalk yelling, "Go, Mom, you can do it, you can do it." And I was just like, oh my gosh. It was a moment. So what does that have to do with cross-stitch, you ask? Did you ask? Well, I don't care if you asked or not, I'm telling you. No, I'm not that kind of person. But let me tell you, I decided I wanted to cross-stitch the St. John's Bridge, and I had seen this chart. There it is in all its beauty. So I bought this kit, and it's been sitting in my pile. Oh, there goes the lady running down the road. I still wish I could run, but I ended up with spondylolisthesis, but that's not here nor there. But the St. John's Bridge, it's a gorgeous bridge. Portland is a gorgeous town, and all of the bridges, the river, everything is fabulous. So it was my new start yesterday. It was almost my new stop yesterday because I had no idea about this chart. I mean, it was a small chart. I mean, I don't even know, does it even say on here what size it is? But when I opened it up, I nearly freaked. Because there were two sets of instructions. Well, it says it's like 50 by 70, so it's not big. But there were two sets of instructions. One was in Russian, and one was in English. And I'm just going to show you the very top of that chart. My brain was having a seizure, let me tell you. And then it came with two cards with the floss. But the symbols are divided into using with card 1 or card 1 or card 2. And so I nearly said, I can't do this. But it's the St. John's Bridge. So I decided to do it by coloring. You see how I've been coloring? And I just barely gave it a start. It's on Ada, which is not very, see, it's not a very big one. It even came with the needle. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it because it is the St. John's Bridge, which is absolutely gorgeous. So that was New Start yesterday, Blackbird Design, New Start today. Cheryl from Stitching with the Sisterlies came over last week, and she's doing a Sal, which for Cheryl and I, it's a start along, and this is at Twin Peaks Primitive Stitching Generations, the Generations Sal, and I think I showed you last time where I was. But I'm still working on the little sheep. I really love this. It kind of encompasses everything. I just have decided that the cat, I'm going to take a bouquet of flowers and stick it in the spool right there. That's what I'm going to do. And then, let's see here, what's this one? Oh, I have not done any more on my Schitt's Creek, but it is such a bright, fun, it's such a bright, fun stitch. It's the perfect stitch for a gloomy day. It's the perfect stitch for a gloomy day, let me tell you. Oh, shoot. Sorry about that. I so enjoyed all of that conversation about monogamous versus compulsive. And I was trying to flesh out what kind of stitcher am I? What kind of stitcher are you? I didn't like the idea of being monogamous. I didn't like the idea of being compulsive. But I came up with a moniker for myself that absolutely fit. And I am thinking that I am a passionate stitcher. Now, doesn't that have a nice sound to it? It's like I get so passionate about a project, and then I might get passionate about the next project, and then I might really need to finish a project because my passion is overwhelming. What can I say? So that's what I've decided I am going to be, is a passionate stitcher. I dug out a whip. I don't know why, but it was calling. You know, the pile is in my bedroom, and I need to sleep sometimes, but it's like wah, 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 going on, and this one was screaming more than any other. And I think this was from, well, originally I saw this one, Diligent, at the Attic in 2019, but they didn't have the chart. They had the sample, but they had run out of the chart. And then the next year, when my friend Becky and I, who winters in Mesa, went to the Attic, they had it, and so I picked it up. And it was just calling to me. But what was really funny is I had no idea how narrow it was. So what I did when I first started it, I passionately stitched all the dark alphabet at the top. And then I decided I need a break from the alphabet. So last week I started doing little motifs. And I finished the little motifs on one side. And then I said, well, now I can go back to the alphabet again. So here we go. See, there's the little motifs. And now I am back to this alphabet. Well, what blew me away, you see this piece of fabric, is the bottom of the motif is actually the bottom of the chart. That's how narrow it is. This is a narrow, narrow project, long and narrow. But I love it, and I feel very passionate about it. So I'm thinking that this one is not going to go back into the pile until it is finished. That it'll be one that is regularly stitched on. And let's see, and it's, I'm doing it differently. This sweet bag, look at the bees, beehives and the bees. This sweet bag was gifted to me by Allison. Yeah, it's hanging in there. And what I decided to do was I had gone to Acorns and Threads, and I had been stitching in hand, but I decided that I wanted to try. I had seen, I think it might have been Jenna slamming the screen door. I think it might have been her. I was on a Zoom, a stitch, and someone was stitching a big project with a small hoop, and they were just moving the hoop over. And I thought that might be interesting to try, because I like to try different ways of stitching to see what works and what doesn't. And I asked whoever that was that if they take the hoop out every night, and they did. And so I've been doing that. But I didn't want to use one of those cheap bamboo ones because I wasn't sure how that would work. So I went to Acorns and Threads and I bought this really, really nice wooden hoop. I mean, it just feels like a nice piece of artwork. And then I roll it up and clip it with these little clips, and then I put the hoop where I'm stitching. And it has been fun. It's been fun. And I think Janine told me this was a Harwick hoop, but it's only like 8 inches. Wouldn't that be nice to be my screenshot? So I'm loving that. I'm loving that. What else? Oh, I'll give you a little bit of a synopsis of the Acorn Gathering 2022. That happened this last Sunday. And I'll give you the pros and the cons. I love Zoom. It's better than nothing for sure. But the thing about Zoom is you're in your own home. You can get up and go to the restroom. You can get up and get a snack. You want something to drink, you just go get it. It's kind of nice. And the Acorn Gathering was lovely in terms of we got to meet the designer, which was a designer, Luhu Stitches, that I was not familiar with. And so that was fun, and we got to see what her next designs coming out at market would be. And then Janine did a walk around the shop, and so many people on the Zoom were so grateful for the Zoom and so grateful to walk around the shop that she was doing. Lori and Jen were taking orders off of the chat in the Zoom, because there's nothing, it is so different when you're actually in a shop walking around, or as Janine was walking around actually showing you, compared to just looking at something online. You know, it's different. So there were people from all over the United States. There were 4 provinces in Canada. There was somebody from Australia, and the designer. And then Janine was in the shop. So it was lovely. It was lovely. The project was adorable. The threads were beautiful. They had raffle. It was a fun event. The only thing I can say that would not be 100% is the fact that it's not in person, which is not able to happen right now. That is the bottom line. There's no hotel having gatherings, which is what we did the last time we all gathered. You know, they have to figure out how to provide food in a safe manner to large groups. It's just between the supply chain, the employee shortage, and trying to keep everybody safe, it's just not able to happen, because it was more, it is more fun to get up from the table and walk around and talk to people, and you can't do that on Zoom. But on the other hand, on Zoom, you have people that wouldn't be able to fly here, that either couldn't afford it or just the logistics of it would have been too hard, and they maybe live in an area that doesn't have an LNS. And so I would say that 95% positive. There is that 5% that you're not going to get right now. And that's what you have to accept. You're just not going to get it. And so I would sign up again. I would be signing up again for a Zoom, but with 200 people on there. You didn't really, and I knew there were people on there that I kind of wanted to, not kind of, but I did want to see, and I just couldn't, you know, you'd have to keep scrolling and figuring out, and you couldn't really talk to each other in a conversational way, because it would have been disruptive to the whole Zoom. Because with that many people, it would have been disruptive to the whole Zoom. Yeah. So that happened this last Sunday. Yeah. I can't wait to go back to Acorns and Threads. I need some mulberry. Yeah. I'm hoping they have it so I don't have to go and order it from 123 Stitch. Because who knows what I'll get. Well, I might get a whole lot of other floss too. Well, I think I've babbled enough, huh? Did you get a whole project done while I was babbling? Oh. Yeah, so go, take time, pick out your favorite Flosstubers, give them a look-see, see what they're doing that will enable you. Know that they are just your friend in a different spot. And please take a moment to subscribe to your favorite ones. Yeah. Love you guys. Take care. Stay warm. And we'll see you the next time.